All right, today we're cracking open a real 30-year-old mystery. It's called the Monk's Time Capsule.
So what if a message could just wait for 30 years before anyone found it? Think about that. You leave behind a warning, maybe a really detailed plan, and it just sits there, perfectly preserved, for 3 whole decades. What kind of secrets would that thing hold? Well, that is exactly what we are about to find out.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the discovery itself. Then we'll try to decode this really cryptic language the monk left behind. After that, we dive into a recipe that's not what it seems. We'll even explore this wild, mind-bending communication protocol. And we're going to end on a puzzle that, to this day, nobody has solved.
All right, first up, let's talk about the discovery. We have to go all the way back to unlock a message that was sealed up in 1993.
Okay, so picture this. It's February 2026. You've got these AI researchers, and they're scanning this old, rundown garage. Now, this place used to be a hideout for this mysterious figure known as the Benedictus Monk. The researchers are just checking for electrical hazards, right? But then their equipment flags something impossible. There's a breaker panel, but it has 0 electrical activity. It's a total dummy.
And this timeline really puts into perspective just how long we're talking about. The whole story kicks off way back in 1993. That's when Monk, who's on the run after some dangerous event, puts this time capsule together. It gets archived in '99, and then nothing. It just sits there, completely untouched, until it's found in 2026. That's a 33-year gap. Just incredible.
So what did they find inside this fake panel box? Well, it's like a perfectly preserved collection of 90s tech and just weird stuff. There's an Iowa cassette player, 2 tapes simply labeled 1 and 2, some handwritten notes, a pretty distinctive royal purple bandana, and a master lock that's dated specifically to March of 1993. You know, this isn't just some dusty old time capsule, it's practically a crime scene just waiting for someone to decipher it. So naturally, the investigation zeroes in on what's inside. And this is where we have to start deciphering the monk's coded language. They started with tape 1, and they quickly realized, oh, this isn't just a simple recording. No, this was a carefully crafted code.
So the tape starts playing, and it sounds like this. Really weird poem. I mean, take this line, for example. Not caring about the same old scene or articles in another magazine. What could that possibly mean, right? It sounds like some angsty poetry from back in the day, but its real meaning is way, way more tactical.
And this is where it gets really interesting, seeing how the researchers broke it all down. Turns out, every line was either a pun or some kind of historical reference. Phoenix in an arid land? That becomes Desert Eagle. Articles in another magazine? That's a literal instruction to change the firearms magazine. And 201 AD? That's not a year. It's a clever reference to CCI, a brand of ammunition. It's just brilliant misdirection.
So what's the big reveal here? This wasn't a poem at all. It was an incredibly specific, totally covert request for a seriously powerful weapon, a Desert Eagle pistol, but converted. He needed a new barrel, a new bolt, a new magazine, and very specific .357 Magnum CCI ammo. Yeah, Monk wasn't writing poetry, he was gearing up for a fight.
But getting a weapon was just one piece of the puzzle. Those handwritten notes they found, they had another layer of deception. Hidden in, of all places, a recipe.
The notes actually had 2 different recipes for babka, you know, that sweet bread? The first one was totally normal, called Nana's Bowling League Night Babka. Cute, right? But the other one, Nana's Crazy Rhodes Alumni Babka? Well, it looked similar on the surface, but it was anything but. It was a recipe for pure chaos.
And this is where the deception gets really clever. The ingredients were all puns, a kind of code. Lignite flour was actually lignite powder. Aluminum flour was aluminum powder. You see where this is going. Both are key components for small explosives. DJ Chew whiskey was a coded chemical formula, C4H10O2, for an ignition reducer. And my favorite, I can't believe it's not butter. Yeah, that wasn't for baking. It was to make surfaces super slippery to slow down anyone chasing him. This wasn't a cake, it was a full-blown escape kit.
So the goal here was crystal clear. Create total confusion. By setting off these minor, non-lethal explosions and creating all sorts of diversions, Monk could throw the authorities into a panic. That would buy him precious time to just disappear. I mean, it's basically urban guerrilla tactics disguised as a baking recipe.
Okay, so let's recap. Monk has a weapon on the way and a detailed escape plan. But how did he get help? This is where the story takes a sharp turn into something truly extraordinary, something called
the Mobius Protocol.
Now, this was no ordinary email. Monk used a technique he called an Enochian offset. So, what is that? Essentially, it's a way to package a digital message and use these super complex calculations based on dates, symbols, historical events to make it hop through time. The message could arrive years after it was sent, and it would be completely untraceable.
So let's follow the journey this message took. Monk sends it out on September 14, 1993. It bounces off a server just a few days later on September 25th, and then it just goes dark. It lies dormant for years and years until it suddenly reappears and hops through another server on December 9, 2018. From there, it finally reaches its intended target, a woman named Mariana Samagi on the winter solstice of 1999. I mean, just think about that for a second.
So here's the absolute mind-bender. The message, sent in 1993 to get help for an event happening in 1993, didn't actually arrive until 1999, 6 years later. What does that even mean? It implies that his ally, Mariana, either had some way to act retroactively, or that this entire event was part of a much larger time-bending conflict we can't even comprehend. It's a really staggering concept.
But for everything the researchers managed to figure out, one huge piece of this whole puzzle remains completely unsolved. That second cassette tape.
Yeah, unlike the coded message on tape 1, this tape was just music. 7 songs. The first 6 are all from a pretty tight 10-year window, from 1979 to 1989. You've got Blondie, Ozzy, Dire Straits, but then there's the last song. It's a cover of the very first song on the tape, Heart of Glass, but this version is from 2020.
Yeah, a 31-year jump. And this was no accident. The researchers confirmed this tape was added long after the original capsule was sealed. So what was it? A new message? A clue? Maybe a warning? And why this specific, massive gap in time?
And it gets weirder. Along with the song list was this totally bizarre formula. The songs were highlighted in blue, pink, and yellow. This equation, it seems to suggest a way to translate, well, almost anything. Thoughts, actions, even electrical signals, into a mathematical language that can then be molded into what he calls parallel stories. It's a whole other layer of code that so far nobody has been able to crack.
And just when you think it can't get any stranger, the Addendum file that contains all this information is named after one final piece of evidence they found with the notes, this dark, confrontational poem titled Legion of Destruction. It basically promises total annihilation for some unseen enemy.
And that, for now, is where the trail goes cold. We're left with an escape plan from 1993, a message that literally traveled through time, and a final mixtape that spans decades. I think what we should really take away from this isn't just the answers we found, but the incredible questions that are still hanging in the air. What story do these songs and numbers actually tell? And who or what is this Legion of Destruction? The time capsule has been opened for sure, but it feels like the monk's biggest secrets are definitely still out there.